Pat Forde from Yahoo Sports, college basketball, college football writer. And I misspoke that his column was referencing somebody else's column about do we overrate white players. Now, he did riff on it a little bit. Steve Kerr talked last hour about Aaron Kraft from Ohio State. Do we give him more credibility? Do we look at him differently because he's a white player? I was just curious about that. Pat Forde from Yahoo Sports joining us now. What made you focus in on that topic?
Well, I heard about the Lansing State Journal piece, and Dan Wetzel and I actually talked about it a little bit on our radio show back when it came out, and we had a lot of response on it. And I think that it's a provocative topic. I don't think Aaron Kraft is overrated at all, but I think you can go back and probably look at a somewhat disproportionate number of white players who have been named National Player of the Year, who've been first-team All-Americans, given their production maybe later on in the NBA and things like that maybe there has been a little bit of an overrating of some white players over the years. This
is Graham Couch from the Lansing, Michigan State Journal, a columnist there, and he talked about this. In a sport dominated by African Americans, 4 of the past 8 winners of the Naismith Player of the Year award have been white. Andrew Bogut, J.J. Redick, Tyler Hansbrough, Jimmer Fredette. None won a national title. Only Hansbrough made it to the Final Four. Looking at the players this year who get a lot of recognition, Doug McDermott of Creighton, Cody Zeller of Indiana, Mason Plumlee of Duke, Kraft at Ohio State. There's a few of them there. But
yeah, Kelly Olynyk as well.
Yeah. But you don't think that because the media, look, it's just natural if you're looking at a game, all of a sudden you see a white guy. There's a novelty part of it, and then you go, well, can the guy play?
Mm-hmm.
Conscious or subconscious?
Yeah, no, I think that it's subconsciously there. I think for a while it was somewhat akin to a black quarterback was a novelty, and people looked at it kind of the same way. Oh, look, and can he play? And there's a lot of the stereotypes that are involved both ways. The black quarterback's the athlete. The white basketball player is probably the gritty, cerebral player.
Gym rat.
And those code words get kind of thrown in there, but I do think that given the small number of white American players who have gone on to be NBA stars, there's been maybe a disproportionate number of them celebrated as great players in college.
Did you fill out your bracket?
Yeah, I have. It'll be wrong yet again.
Your Final Four is who?
I have Louisville, Ohio State, Indiana, and I guess Georgetown. I'm tempted to put VCU in there, but I think I'll go with Georgetown.
Kentucky's out. How's this playing since you live in Louisville? With Kentucky out, Louisville, a lot of people picking them for the national championship, and they would go through Rupp Arena, I believe, to that national championship.
Yeah, if you're a Kentucky fan, this is a complete catastrophe. I mean, it is the worst possible scenario. Louisville fans are coming to invade your town and your arena to watch the overall number 1 seed play with your old coach, and you're in the NIT playing at Robert Morris tomorrow night. I mean, it's bad. And the thing is, for Kentucky fans, a year ago at this time, they thought their program had all the answers, that it was, the program of the future and the direction, this is how you do it. Cal figured it out. Cal has, cornered the market. He's outsmarted everyone. And he did for a year. But it's a high wire act, and if you fall off, there's no safety net if you do it his way with the one-and-done players, and that's what they found out this year. And meanwhile, here comes Louisville plodding along with third- and fourth-year guys, filling that void, and all of a sudden positioned to win a title.
Give me the names that we may not be talking about now. We'll be talking about them in 2 weeks.
I think there's probably – like St. Louis has got a bunch of good players, not great players, but that's one thing about Louisville's bracket. They're the overall number 1 seed. I think it's by far the hardest bracket. I mean, I think Colorado State could be a kind of a Novocaine game in the second round for them, and then you got St. Louis. I think VCU can make another run. I think if people haven't seen Miami yet, I think they'll really like them. I think a Miami-Indiana regional final will be excellent. Shane Larkin, who's Barry Larkin's kid, is just tremendous, and they got a bunch of good players on that team. And, I wouldn't be surprised if Wisconsin grinds its way into a regional final against Ohio State.
The number one seed most likely to bow out the soonest is who?
Gonzaga, I think, although I don't think, that their run is overly tough, but round of 32 game against Pittsburgh, they've got a 7-footer from New Zealand who can really, I think, give
he can play defense.
Some trouble.
Yeah, he can't play offense, but he can play defense.
No. Yeah, he can guard. So I think Gonzaga would be challenged there and could be challenged in the Sweet 16 by Wisconsin.
I thought the committee rewarded schools who didn't lose to bad schools. It might not have been who you beat, but it was more about who you lost to. Do you think that was a fair assessment of what the committee did yesterday?
Yeah, I think you could. Yeah, you could definitely make that argument. Bad losses, I think, counted against everybody but Kansas, I guess, because Kansas lost to TCU and lost by 23 to Baylor, and still got a number 1 seed and was actually the number 2 overall team. But if you look at some of the teams that were left out, some of those SEC teams that were left out, they had some bad losses.
Yeah.
Alabama, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Middle Tennessee didn't have bad losses. Middle Tennessee's in the tournament.
That kid McLemore, Kansas, he's a pro.
Oh yeah, and he could be the number 1 pick. I think.
Yeah,
got that great combination of athleticism and can still really shoot.
And I'm trying to look at other guys. I asked Steve Kerr about this since he does the NBA on TNT. Are you looking at these games and also looking at how guys project in the NBA? If you were going to look at the 5 guys that will project well to the NBA, could you narrow it down?
Oh, boy.
I know that's not your job, but, just looking at these guys and how special they are and how much, more potential they have.
Sure. No, I think that UCLA's got several future pros there. Shabazz Muhammad, Kyle Anderson. Jordan Adams is out, but he's a future pro. I think Michigan, between Trey Burke and Tim Hardaway Jr., absolutely. Otto Porter Jr. at Georgetown, I really like him. UNLV's got Anthony Bennett, who's projected top 10, and he'll be a very good NBA player. I'm not sure he's a great player yet, but he'll go pro after this year, and somebody will take him, no doubt about it.
Well, Nerlens Noel is probably going to go pro. He'll be a top 5 pick. McLemore is going to be a top pick. There's a few of them in there, but sometimes it's hard because we the one and dones, we haven't seen much of them. And so by the time they get to March Madness, you're going to go, holy smokes, that guy's good. And you're going to go, oh, yeah, he's going to the pros next year.
Yeah, for some people, it's a chance to see these guys for 6 games as collegians, and then they're out of there. That's part of the problem with the college game at this point. They come and go so fast.
Any chance this is Boeheim's last hurrah?
Yeah, I think there's a chance. I don't think that he was very tickled with the ACC move. There is still an ongoing NCAA investigation of the program that's wide-ranging, and we've been waiting for some resolution on that for a long time. But that shoe could drop, and if there's going to be significant penalties associated with that, and you're changing leagues to a league you don't want to go in, I think you may just say, you know what, I'll go play golf.
Give me the most interesting first-round matchup.
I like North Carolina-Villanova. I think that's an interesting one. Both teams played a lot better late in the season. North Carolina went to a smaller lineup. It really seemed to work well for them. Villanova looked like they were out of the tournament and kind of launched a bid there. And kind of 2 different styles. Villanova's going to want to beat you up a little bit, and North Carolina's going to want to get up and run a little bit more. But, a couple fairly marquee names there in a good 8-9 game. And if North Carolina wins, it's Roy against Bill Self in Kansas City for all the old, Kansas psychodrama.
Good to visit with you, Pat. We'll be checking in with you during the tournament.
All right, Dan. Thank you.
Hi, buddy. Yahoo Sports college football basketball writer. Called 40 Minutes. His column, Big Dance Edition, 2013 tournament favorites, bracket records, wreckers, frauds, and more.